In Palestine, at least 13 people were killed on Friday morning in a series of Israeli airstrikes targeting the Jabalia refugee camp and the city of Khan Younis in the Gaza Strip, as the Israeli genocide campaign on the enclave marks its 91st consecutive day. The National Assembly of Venezuela ratified with a clear majority the current board of directors for a new legislative term of 2024-2025. In Senegal, the Constitutional Council rejected the candidacy of jailed opposition leader Ousmane Sonko to run in next month's presidential election. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Palestine, at least 13 people were killed this morning in a series of Israeli airstrikes targeting the Jabalia refugee camp and the city of Khan Younis in the Gaza Strip as the Israeli genocide campaign on the enclave marked its 91st consecutive day. In northern Gaza, 5 civilians were killed as Israeli drones targeted the Al-Fallujah cemetery west of the Jabalia refugee camp. In the meantime, the Israeli occupation forces continued its aerial and artillery bombardment on residential homes, buildings, and the tents of displaced in Khan Younis in the southern Gaza Strip. The latest attacks resulted in the death of at least 8 civilians and injuries to several others since the early hours of the day. In a preliminary toll, the ongoing Israeli aggression on the Gaza Strip amounts to more than 22,400 deaths, including more than 9,700 children and 6,800 women. In Palestine, residents of Gaza denounced the atrocities committed by the Israeli army in violation of international law to spare civilians.
They enter our homes and vandalize the children's rooms, the living room, the kitchen, and the bathroom. My house is on the verge of collapse as they destroy everything inside. They even bombed the kindergarten in the neighborhood where our children were playing. On the 3rd of the month, at around 12 o'clock midnight, the Israeli army stormed the camp. They began bulldozing the streets, and when they blew up that building, it resulted in the damage of surrounding houses. The army also entered our homes and conducted searches.
The Palestinian Journalists Union called on the relevant parties to pressure the Israeli authorities to facilitate the departure of journalists injured during the siege against Al-Shifa Hospital and to receive treatment outside the Gaza Strip. The statement came after Palestinian journalist Akram al-Shafi died of critical wounds caused by Tel Aviv attacks. Israel denied his medical transfer out of Palestine. The Palestinian Journalists Union stressed that his death cast light on the suffering of the journalists there. The union detailed that there are about 25 journalists in Gaza in need of urgent treatment abroad. This brings the number of journalists killed during the ongoing Israeli aggression to 103. The Kingdom of Bahrain strongly condemned the extremist racist statements made by 2 Israeli government ministers regarding the displacement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, the reoccupation of the Strip, and the construction of settlement therein. In a statement, the ministry stressed that such statements violate the principles of international law and resolutions of international legitimacy, warning that they would undermine the peace process, in addition to igniting tension and instability in the region, according to the Bahrain news agency. The text reiterated Bahrain's position, calling for an immediate, permanent, and comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza, protecting civilians and meeting their humanitarian needs. It also called for creating the right conditions for the resumption of a fair and comprehensive peace process. In Lebanon, resistance troops attacked assembly centers of the Israeli occupation forces in response to the recent aggressions and in support of Gaza. The Islamic resistance in Lebanon confirmed the destruction of the installations occupied by Israel, as well as reconnaissance equipment. They conducted operations targeting Tel Aviv uniform locations in the vicinity of Al-Manara, Al-Motila, and Stula. The Israeli media reported that the communities of the northern border with Lebanon are beginning to collapse due to forced displacements, due to the intensification of the bombings in the territory since October 7th. On Friday, the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, during a speech warned to the Israeli government that Hezbollah will respond swiftly on the battlefield to the assassination of Hamas deputy leader Saleh al-Aruri. On Tuesday, an attack by the Israeli occupation army killed Saleh al-Aruri in South Beirut. The crime was denounced by leaders in the region as the most senior Hamas figure to be killed by the Israeli occupation. In this sense, Nasrallah assured his nation would not be silent in the face of a violation of this magnitude and reiterated that his people will not expose itself to any foreign aggression. During his speech, the Secretary General of the Islamic Resistance Movement, Syed Hassan Nasrallah, detailed that the resistance carried out more than 670 operations in 3 months.
During this stage, we attacked all the enemy's border positions, and a large number of reward positions, and a large number of Israeli settlements. In response to attacks against civilians or military who were in these settlements. In a simple statistic, the Islamic resistance carried out more than 670 operations during 3 months. 670 operations. In some days, the operations reached 23.
In Yemen, Houthi movement supporters demonstrate to commemorate the 10 fighters killed by the U.S. Navy in the Red Sea and in support of the Palestinian cause. Thousands of Yemenis in Sana'a marched in support of Gaza and the Palestinian resistance under the slogan, "The blood of the free people is on the road to victory." The political and military leaders also request that humanitarian aid, including food and medicine, be allowed to enter. The Yemenis call on the Arab and Islamic peoples and the rest of the world to put pressure and show their discontent until the Zionist massacres in Gaza are stopped. Massive demonstrations are also reported in other cities of the country. In Spain, the movement of solidarity with the Palestinian people held protests this Friday to denounce the complicity of transnational fast food companies with the Israeli genocide in the Gaza Strip. More details in the following report.
In the streets of Nou, Barris district in Barcelona, under the slogan "Long live the struggle of Palestinian people and boycott Israel," the demonstrators denounced the support of multinational to the Israeli occupation in Palestine.
At this moment, we are carrying out an action with a double meaning. First, to denounce the genocide that is being carried out in Palestine with the complicity of the United States imperialism and the European Union. And secondly, it is a campaign of boycott against the companies that are collaborating with the Zionist state of Israel.
It is very important because these are the brand names, the companies that are funding with weapons and financial support the genocidal Zionist rulers of Israel.
In the so-called Unity March, different organizations participate demanding the Spanish state to break off relations with Israel, as well as to put an end to hostilities against Palestine.
It is very important that society becomes aware that there are some big companies of Jewish capital that we need to boycott. The economic power of Israel is very important, and it is also a form of struggle. There are many other forms of struggle to achieve peace in Gaza, in the whole Middle East. We need to work for peace and not for war.
The rallies will continue to be held across the Spanish territory in order to keep giving visibility to the Palestinian cause.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. The National Assembly of Venezuela ratified with a clear majority the current board of directors for the new legislative term of 2024-2025. On behalf of the ruling bloc of the Homeland, Deputy Diosdado Cabello recognized the merits of the board of directors headed by Jorge Rodriguez in terms of peace and security of the South American country, and proposed to ratify Rodriguez as president, Pedro Infante as first vice president, and America Perez as second vice president. The parliamentarians paid honors before the statue of the liberator and father of the homeland, Simon Bolivar, in the park that bears his name in the capital. Furthermore, they also mentioned that in 2024 they will establish routes to maintain unity within the homeland bloc in order to ensure the development and welfare of all Venezuelans.
The approval also of the pending laws of the People's Power to make them more dynamic. We have pending the approval in second discussion of the law of communes and a law that will bring the function of the communities closer to the new realities of our self-sustaining economy, based on enterprise and also based on the organized growth of our economy, the political and territorial organization of the community, along with their involvement in economic activity, is a fundamental element to be discussed in the new law.
The re-elected president of the legislative body highlighted the progress of the economic recovery that the country is experiencing from 2021 to 2023.
If you review a little bit what has been the work, the elaboration of the laws of the National Assembly of the years 2021, 2022, and 2023 have been mainly directed to strengthen this process, a new Venezuelan economy, the recovery of Venezuela's economy. Now nobody can deny, at this point, nobody can deny, even though there were voices of doom and gloom, who said that the dollar was going to end at 70, that it was going to end at 80, that inflation was going to shoot up. They said that in January 2023. Well, now reality, which is implacable, has pointed out what really happened. A process of economic recovery that now has to be directed towards the consolidation of prosperity and the welfare state that was so attacked here.
The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, congratulated the new board of directors of the National Assembly for the 2024 and 2025 term. Through his account on the social media X, the president said, "I congratulate the new board of directors of the true and only National Assembly of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for the period 2024-2025, who they ratified their commitment to be the faithful guardians of a historic cause and a project for the homeland, continue with humility to connect with the common man and woman with their needs and truth, because you are also the people, the fighting and patriotic people. You are the popular expression in the legislative branch." In Argentina, protests continue against the economic policies and cuts promoted by the government of Javier Milei. Social movements demonstrate on Friday both at the headquarters of the Ministry of Human Capital and near the hotel where President Milei has been staying for the last 2 months. The police have reinforced security by placing fences outside the hotel, although demonstrations have been peaceful. The members of the social organization Somos Barrios de Pie have called for these demonstrations due to the lack of food to sustain popular soup kitchens at vulnerable neighborhoods amid a worsening economic crisis fueled by the government's latest announcements and deregulated measures. Social organizations demanded answers and governmental attention. Argentina's Meteorological Service issued a red alert in 3 provinces of the country on Friday due to high temperatures. The agency warned that the weather situation could affect human health with dangerous consequences. The province of Mendoza is on orange alert, while the northern province of Salta is on yellow alert. The provinces on red alert are La Pampa, Neuquén, and Rio Negro. Authorities report temperatures reaching 35 degrees Celsius. In Peru, more than 9 million citizens are at risk from possible floods and landslides. The information was released by the National Center for Disaster Risk Estimation, Prevention and Reduction, which indicated that at least 3.5 million citizens in the department of Cajamarca, Piura, Huánuco, La Libertad, and Ancash could be affected by landslides, while more than 5.5 million people in Lambayeque, Tumbes, and other regions could be at risk from floods. On the other hand, the center indicated that there is a general concern for the lack of effective action by local and regional authorities. The National Service of Natural Areas Protected by the state on Thursday indicated that Peru has been positioned as the country with the highest diversity of birds in the world. The official report highlighted that the nation reached a record of 1,879 species of birds to establish itself as a nation with the greatest diversity of birds on the planet, surpassing Brazil and Colombia. In turn, according to the registry of the Committee of Classification of South America, 19 new species were identified in Peru. On the other hand, the Minister of Foreign Trade and Tourism, Juan Carlos Matthews, emphasized that Peru is a mega-diverse country that has important destinations with unique endemic birds, many of them present in the natural protected areas. We now have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Because the news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Found your break? Don't go away. Welcome back from the South. A decision by Senegal's Constitutional Council to reject the candidacy of jailed opposition leader Ousmane Sonko to run in next month's presidential election is described as an electoral farce by his lawyer. The 49-year-old opposition figure, who came third in the 2019 presidential election, has been at the center of a bitter standoff with the state that has lasted more than 2 years and sparked several episodes of deadly unrest. Authorities had previously refused to provide Sonko with all the necessary documents to run in the February 25th poll. They argued that Sonko had been removed from the electoral register after being sentenced in June to 2 years imprisonment for morally corrupting a young person. He has been jailed since the end of July on other charges, including calling for insurrection, conspiracy with terrorist groups, and endangering state security.
It's clear that the cascade of violations of the law is not stopping, and that there is a desire to move towards elections that lack transparency from the outset, and that in any case will not reflect the will of the nation. I think that national and international public opinion will remember that this is an electoral farce that has been organized and that continues to be organized.
Following the ruling, Sonko supporters reacted to Senegal's Constitutional Court move and denounced as a political strategy to prevent Ousmane Sonko from running.
It's not an election, it's a selection, because he's the leader of the opposition and the most popular candidate in Senegal. No one is disputing that at this stage. There are already people working hard to ensure that his rights are respected and that his candidacy is supported by the people. It's not individuals who are supporting his candidacy, but rather people from every corner of Senegal who want to see this candidate take part.
This decision does not mean the end of our fight. We will not accept subjugation. The last word goes to the people. The state thinks it has won, but it has lost, because sooner or later our will be realized. We're preparing our voter cards, and we will use them to remove them from the leadership of this country. Sonko will govern. He will win sooner or later. They can use all the means of the state to eliminate him, but God is great.
In Bangladesh, 5 people were killed after a passenger train caught fire on Friday. Police suspect arson during unrest ahead of national elections boycotted by the opposition. Fire Department officer Rakibul Hassan said at least 4 carriages caught fire on the Benapol's Express, which was arriving in the capital Dhaka from the western city of Hezore. Meanwhile, police commander Khan Al-Moin told reporters that 5 people were rescued from the blaze. Witnesses said the train caught fire at Gopi Bagh in an old area of Dhaka not far from the megacity's main railway terminal. An anonymous rescuer told private broadcaster Somoy TV that hundreds of people had rushed to pull people from the burning train.
When we initiated the rescue efforts, we observed multiple lifeless bodies inside the coaches. They were in such a state that identification was not possible. The bodies had turned into charcoal.
As the train approached Dhaka, a coach was already ablaze, and we yelled to alert fellow passengers about the fire. Unfortunately, those in another coach dismissed our warnings, thinking we were joking. It wasn't until they understood the gravity of the situation that the train driver halted the train. However, in just 1 minute, the entire coach was engulfed in flames.
On Friday, Russian authorities announced readiness to evacuate residents of the city of Belgorod due to the Ukrainian attacks. The governor of the Russian province of Belgorod, Vyacheslav Gladkov, stressed that in order to be evacuated, the residents must submit their respective requests. In turn, Gladkov added that in case that there are no more spaces available, he will ask to his colleagues from other Russian regions for help. For his part, he also assured that after the first shelling of Belgorod at the end of last year, he received dozens of calls from the heads of the neighboring provinces, offering support and all necessary resources. So far, the authorities evacuated several families and assured they are doing everything they can and intend to do so without delay. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.